Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And wow, I tell you, we all been waiting on this moment for the last 4.5 weeks because Hot Topics is here. Yes. And you all know how we feel about Hot Topics because we are going to explore some things that going to make you think. Going to make you think about a lot of things that's going on, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is my most favorite time. I'm talking about when I'm doing TV and radio. It's hot topics because we get a chance to talk about a lot of different things. So I'm excited with this panel that we got here today. And we got Laurie Edwards-Tate, who is new to the panel, but we hoping that she's gonna become a regular and she can get time in the schedule. So, how you doing today, Michelle? I know you in California. I'm in Texas. How you doing?
I'm doing good, but you told the audience who the panelist is today.
I did not tell the audience who the panelist is.
You mentioned Laurie's name. I'm mad.
You know what? I'm excited about the panel, but extremely excited about Laurie. I've been trying to get her on the show again for about the last 3-4 months, and you know what? We finally got her on Hot Topics, and I'm excited about this. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners the title of the show today, the purpose, and introduce each one of these fantastic panel members?
Oh, of course. Well, it is August 2023 Hot Topics show. So we have on the show cognitive behavior coach, keynote speaker, author, and advisor, Dr. Michael Mantell, CEO, leadership coach, and Navy veteran, Dr.Terry Spain, and the president, founder, and CEO of At Your Home Familycare, Laurie Edwards-Tate. And we're going to talk about the following hot topics. The first topic is called Sedentary Time in Children, linked with heart damage in young adulthood. Second topic is tipping getting out of hand. And third topic is FIFA suspends Spain soccer chief Luis Rubiales and coaches resign over unwanted kiss with Women's World Cup winner. So we have those three hot topics to discuss, but let me tell you a little bit more about our guests. So Dr. Michael Mantell, of course, for nearly 50 years, over 50 years, he's been helping people of all ages and backgrounds to serve themselves less and creating lasting positive change. He's a member of the Science Advisory Council of the International Council on Active Aging, a longtime member of SAG-AFTRA since 1981. He has written so many books, including Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, P.S. It's All Small Stuff, and the link is What You Think. Dr. Terry Spain, he's the CEO of Terry Spain Consulting, LLC. He's a highly experienced professional in the fields of diversity, leadership training, motivational speaking, and team building. And then we have Laurie Edwards-Tate. Since 1984, she has been the president, founder, and CEO of both a nonprofit and currently for-profit non-medical home care aid organization called At Your Home Family Care. So please welcome panelists to the show today. Thank you for taking time to attend the show and joining us on Hot Topics. So James, let me know when you're ready.
Hey, I'm ready. I mean, because I know our viewers and our listeners are very excited about this. So you got it.
Yes. Okay, first topic. According to the European Society of Cardiology, sedentary time in children is linked with heart damage in young adulthood. Hours of inactivity during childhood could be setting the stage for heart attacks and strokes later in life, according to this research. The study found that sedentary time accumulated from childhood to young adulthood was associated with heart damage, and even those with normal weight and blood pressure. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Mantell. In your opinion, do you believe this report by the European Society of Cardiology has some merit to it?
Of course, absolutely. Any study that has been looked at as carefully as this deserves our attention and respect. But the question becomes, so what? How many studies have we heard about, read about, seen that say that you need to eat better, you need to exercise more, you need to be more social, sleep better, and so forth? We just talked about this on the show yesterday. How many studies do we need to have parents understand, get kids active? The trouble is the parents are so busy on their own devices, They barely look up to see what their kids are doing or not doing. So yes, sedentary, every minute of sedentary life that is sitting, lying, not moving, has an impact on a specific type of heart disease. And we need to be paying more attention to it. But saying that leaves me cold, because we've been saying this about so many things. We need to put the devices down and pick up our awareness of our children's well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Mantell. Dr. Spain, what are your thoughts on this study?
So when I saw this question, I had to think long and hard, because I remember growing up as a kid, and we didn't have those devices in our hands. We had to go outside, and we had to, do different things to keep ourselves active. And I read a quote about a week ago that says to the nature of, do something that requires you not to have your cell phone in your hand. And as Dr. Mantell mentioned before, it's real tough to get kids now to get that device out of their hands. But I echo the same sentiments as he has, is that it is very important that we have these kids and parents do activities so that it won't be a continuous problem, but getting out active, doing something, whether it's a walk, whether it's a family exercise or things of those natures. I think those are what we need to get back to in order to kind of curtail some of these ailments that we are dealing with in today's society.
Thank you, Dr. Spain. Laurie Edwards-Tate, welcome to Hot Topics as our panelist. What are your thoughts on this study, and do you believe it has any merit?
It has tremendous merit, and my thought is it's more of a feeling. I feel that it's a sad state of affairs, because in looking at this issue, approximately 20% of our youth globally are obese. And here in the States, we run at about 19%. So when you start with infancy and then every few years move up to a higher age, the level of obesity increases. And, the impact on self-esteem, our mental health, physical abilities, especially thinking long-term, the impact on the heart, the ventricle area of the heart expands through lack of use across the board. And the disconnect, I think that it's not that the devices are traumatic, really, it's how we use them, how we substitute those for human interaction and physical engagement. I think it's really more than blaming anyone. I think it's a societal mindset. And I really do hope that programs like this talk about this more and help encourage positive change, because they're our future.
Thank you, Laurie. Mm-hmm. Dr. James Cooley, what are your thoughts on this study?
Well, I believe that we need to get back to the old, where a lot of devices that we have, as cell phones and this and that, and it caused a lot of our youth and young adults to, I'm just gonna say it, become lazy and not move around, not do activities, physical activities like we used to do when we was able to go outside, and you wasn't expected back until the end of the day, and you wasn't thinking about eating a lot of these things or locked in on your phone. If we don't get back to that, and society today, especially in America, I believe, is becoming increasingly more and more obese, which is going to provide symptoms for heart attacks and all other type of things. So it's just being able to get back to physical activities and doing things, and kind of, taking away, I'm not saying take away the computers, but 24 hours a day. You cannot be on a cell phone and on the computer or playing these games, because that's become a mindset, and you forget about everything else.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. Let me start with Laurie. Laurie, besides banning your child from engaging in excessive television watching or digital device use, is it really realistic in this day and age to expect children to not be sedentary for a good number of hours?
Well, I get back to mindset. I think that it would be a more reasonable expectation to expect the health and development of all children and make that a real social issue. I mean, when I read at one point in time that autopsies performed on children who died at age 16 having arteriosclerosis, I mean, I would be offended if I found even a small amount of arteriosclerosis in my body at this point in time. So when you look at the fact that it impacts academic ability, when we look at what we need in society to have a prosperous, healthy, productive society decades from now, the question is not, is it okay? Is it okay? We have permission. We have to, as a society, say, what do we want to become by 50 years from now? Who do we want to be? Not to mention the fact healthcare costs are going to go up and up and up if we don't have a healthier mindset.
Thank you, Laurie. Dr. Spain, what are some practical strategies parents can implement to encourage their children who are sedentary to engage in more physical activity and reduce the risk of heart disease and other issues later on in life?
So, Dr. Cooley, that's the $1 million question, but this is something that's actually near dear to my heart because I definitely like the physical activities and getting kids involved, and especially dealing with a lot of the youth. So one of the things that I would encourage parents to do is to actually not, if your kid is not good in sports, there are other things that kids can do. You know, you can golf, you can walk, you can fish, you can do all these different things that a lot of people are not really open to doing, or you probably would never be open to doing. But there's so many different activities. Traveling, one of the things that I was able to do is look at how other cultures do different things. And I think if there's an opportunity for parents and children to travel and see how other cultures do things, you can adopt some of their ways of thinking and the ways that they operate. But definitely being active, family walks, family, exercise, and get off the phones. That's definitely a great way. That's a great strategy. But not only, make it a chore for kids, make it exciting. So when they know that every day at this time, we're going to do family activities, that's how you get kids and everybody in the family to get active and excited about being healthy and not staying sedentary.
Thank you.
Wow. I tell you, we're going to take our first break. Don't want to, but we got to, because I know we got so many things that we're going to talk about. So wherever you at, wherever you listen and watching, just even on the radio, because it's going to be there. If you want to be part of the conversation, go to the device that you're watching this on, television, radio, podcast, and all you have to do is just ask the question and go to the comments, and we will get you on. You can be part of Hot Topics. Tell you, we're going to take a station break. We'll be back shortly with more of Hot Topics. It's your life. We'll see you.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Hey. I'm so drawn to you. I'm so drawn to you.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. when you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Welcome back to It's Your Life. I tell you, hot topics, and I'm looking at the numbers. Michelle, you see the numbers on the side?
Oh, I see them.
We got so many folks watching the show right now. It's incredible. Every time we have hot topics, we seem to people are interested in that particular show. And if, folks out there, you're watching, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments and ask any question that you might have. Michelle, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Mantell, this question is for you. What are the potential psychological and social consequences of a sedentary lifestyle for children? And could these factors further contribute to their risk of heart issues in the future?
The data tells us absolutely about the heart issues. No question that we know that a sedentary lifestyle for children and for adults, by the way, contributes to physiological difficulties on so many different levels, heart being a primary one. Psychologically, we have more anxiety and depression in our society today than ever before. And I think that a sedentary lifestyle, not dealing in real life, IRL in real life, dealing virtually with people or who may not even be people, it may be bots for all we know, creates additional depression, loneliness. And what loneliness does emotionally impacts us physiologically as well. And so this is a very large scale concern. It's not going to go away by saying to parents, take your kids for a walk. Remember when we used to tell people, stop smoking, just say no? It didn't work at all. Drug use is up like crazy. And so the fact is that we need to understand that, yes, it's harmful. But telling people there's a psychological, physiological, emotional, even spiritual emptiness that comes with a sedentary lifestyle isn't enough to get people moving.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Mantell. And Dr. James, this question is for you. Do you believe that there are any disparities or differences in sedentary behavior patterns among specific populations, countries, or demographics for children? And I know you lived in different countries while you were in the military. So what have you seen?
Well, it all depends on the country that you are. Case in point, I spent a lot of time in Japan, and everybody is riding a bicycle. Some of the kids, the adults, they're moving, and they eat right in those places like that. They eat a lot of fish. They eat a lot. I mean, they eat right, and just the mindset, I believe, is completely different. And it all depends on the country that you're in. I spent a whole lot of time in Asia, Philippines, Korea. It's just a different lifestyle, and at the time when I was there, you had to walk around. Everybody walked, and they did everything. They got the exercise in there. They got the proper foods, and it's in the United States. I believe that we give our kids and our youth and everything, and they don't have to do anything but just stay at home, watch TV, and play the games. So it's a difference depending on where you're at.
Thank you. Now we're on to the second topic, which is I'm fired up now. Topic number 2. 30% of Americans say tipping culture is out of control. As some businesses agree to scrap tip prompts, nearly 1/3 of Americans feel tipping culture has gotten out of control, according to a recent Bankrate report. It's more than fatigue, it's irritation, says tipping expert Michael Lynn. Now, first question, I'm going to join in. Do I believe tipping has gotten out of control? If so, why? I believe in a lot of instances it has gotten out of control. And I was discussing this before the show. I don't want to feel guilt tipping. Basically, that is either the look or big old sign or your receipt saying, tip this service, et cetera, et cetera. I believe tipping is, should be based on the quality of service that you do receive, kind of like a thank you. But I do believe that, for instance, to-go orders. James and I honestly believe in this, and I'm going to speak for myself. If I call in a to-go order, why should I tip? I'm not eating there at the restaurant. But why should I tip? Okay, that's just me. I'm going to go to the panelists. Let's start with Dr. Spain. Do you believe tipping has gone out of control, and why, if you believe that?
See, you got me fired up over here too now. But in some locations, I think it has gone out of control because I've been to places where you feel kind of pressured to tip because that person is waiting for you to tip. But I'm a firm believer, just like you. If I'm doing a to-go order, I don't feel like I need a tip. But I have an interesting story. I actually have two. But the first one is, I ordered. I had an online order, and I went to pick up my food. But the lady's customer service at the front was so impeccable that I felt obligated to tip her, even though she just handed me the food and that was it. But her conversation, the way she made me feel when I walked inside the door, as she greeted and asked me how am I doing, and all these different things. Those are some of the things that I take in consideration when I'm tipping someone. But in some aspects, I do believe that it does get out of control, and it is some guilt tipping. Folks look at you and say, "Hey, you're not going to tip. You're not going to do this." But if there's a large crowd, there's a lot of people feel like you still need a tip, even though there's the gratuity that's already added on. They feel like that you should tip even more. So I do understand that some of these waiters and waitresses don't get paid as much, but I'm a firm believer in this. If you're in that type of business, you need to put on your best face in order to get those types of tips. I had this is the last story I want to share. I had a young lady whose customer service with us, as it was about 5 of us in a group, and her customer service was absolutely horrible, right? And didn't want to fill the drink up, all these things that you're taught as tipping. But what I did is this: I didn't shame her. I didn't talk to her boss or anything. I pulled her to the side and I said, "Hey, normally I tip the waitresses, and I'm going to tip you." I tipped her $5, but I was actually going to give her $30. I said, but the difference with me tipping you from 30 was 5, and these are some of the ways that you can actually get my attention, and not only just mine, but other tips. I said, you need to work on these type of things if you're going to be in this customer. I felt compelled to let her know, because I don't know if she just started or she didn't know how to do it. But I said, these are some of the things that you're going to have to do in order to work and get those tips. But I told her the difference of her getting a $5 tip versus a $30 tip, and hopefully it worked out.
Wow.
I haven't been back since, so we'll see.
I love it. So basically you gave her a tip.
Yeah.
A tip of knowledge that she can use going forward.
Definitely.
So Laurie, between the high cost of living and uncertain economy, cash-strapped consumers are starting to tip less. Based on this statement, can you empathize with consumers on why they may not want to tip or why they may tip less?
I believe that I do empathize with the consumer. I also empathize with those who are accustomed to receiving tips. The top two places where tips occur are in restaurant dining, and then, believe it or not, hairdressers and barbershops. So I know when I go in and have my hair done and I pay for my haircut and whatever I have done, then it says on the little thing the credit card thing, do you want to give a 5%, 10%? They pretty much direct you about how to do that. I know with restaurants, it's been a long-term knowledge that the pay is a certain level with the anticipation of tips being paid. And who wouldn't prefer being able to pay and reward people for quality performance, which is what motivates me the most. On the other hand, what do I really feel? I feel the harder the economy becomes, the fewer employees that are available to work. And let's face it, there's labor shortages. There are people who don't even want to work. I think it's going to take the collective to keep the economy going. What that means exactly, I don't have an answer for. So my empathy is pretty much for both the employment side of it, for employees feeling valued and possibly overworked because they're doubling up on shifts, and those of us who see the benefit of our hard work over the years mean less and less when the economy is also pretty much in a difficult position.
Thank you, Laurie. Dr. Mantell, I think everyone has seen this. Payment apps and touch screens have made it easy for merchants to ask consumers for preset gratuity amounts. Do you believe this tactic by merchants should be removed? I mean, I think everyone's seen it. It's like the minimum is probably 20%, and then you can go up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, let's understand what TIP stands for. To ensure proper service. Tips. That's what a tip is. To ensure, I just made it up. To ensure proper service. Okay.
I like it.
Okay. Use it. Now, does it ensure anything? No, because it's now expected. So we talked about guilt. I don't have guilt because guilt is based in the word should. Michael, you should tip. And if not, that's terrible. And you're not a nice person. No, it's not true at all. I think that the idea of these apps having that automatically in there is inevitable. Whether it's there or not, I don't trouble myself with. When I'm in an Uber or Lyft, I find that you can tip, accordingly to what you want to tip. I don't always feel like I have to give the highest. So for me, I really do think about the fact that this person is working in an economy where the employer is using that tip for them not to pay, so that their employee, the server, the driver, whatever it may be, can earn some more money. I do have compassion, empathy for that person. So I am a tipper. Do I think that that's going to make them do anything better the next time? No, I don't really believe that, because I don't even think they look at it. It's just numb at this point. It's there. Okay, he gave me another 10%, 20%. So I don't know what we are doing when we think we are improving that service. I think it's just part of the cost of living today in this service industry.
Thank you, Dr. Mantell. Now, James, do you believe tipping is required on top of a service charge being charged to consumers? Like, you're double tipping. So what are your thoughts on that?
I tell you what, let's hold that question till we get back from the break. We got to take a station break. And I want to know, the audience, what you think about this topic right here. So let's go to the platform that you're on and just asking the questions. I see Stacy Bullitt is chiming in on this. And Stacy, you can ask a couple of questions. Come on. So we're going to take a station break. We're going to come back and continue with Hot Topics. Remember, it's your life. We'll see you shortly after the break. Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life, and especially our Hot Topic shows. I tell you, it's fun, it's educational, it's motivational and inspiring, because there is really no right or wrong answer. And we want to put that out there as a disclaimer. There is no right or wrong answer. It's opinionated, and but we learn a lot talking about these type of topics, and we're going to continue to talk about them every month. You know, so I'm looking forward, and we haven't even finished the show right here, but I'm looking forward to next month already, and to see what's going on. You know, and so I tell you, and if you want to be part of these conversations, all you have to do is just send us a message, and we might be able to get you on the show as well. But certainly can get your comments in. So, Michelle, you got it.
Yeah, so this question was actually to you, James, before the break. So you see, when you go to establishment, when you have the receipt to sign, there's a service charge, and then there's the tipping if you want to leave a tip there. Do you believe that's just a little bit too much, or what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe, and you already know how I feel about that. I believe that tipping is a standard, just like what Dr. Clem is saying, that we do if service is provided the right way. Now, I've been to places where the service that was provided didn't require a tip, and I didn't give them one. I mean, just like Dr. Mantell, his acronym that he just made up, he got 1 million of them, by the way. It had to be deserving. And Dr. Spain, you mentioned a smile, politeness, service, all of those things are important. Now, as we went to a restaurant the other day, and the tipping portion of it started at 18%, 20, 22, and then they had this other thing added on to that. I think that's a little bit too much of an overkill, because if you feel that a person server was great, you're gonna reward them anyway. So all that other stuff that the restaurants are piling in there, trying to get you to tip more and do more and etc. I don't think it's necessary. I think the tipping is necessary. We have to take care of folks because they have to make a living. But and doing that, proper courtesy, service is required. And if you make people feel good about eating at your establishment and your service, they're gonna tip you accordingly anyway.
Thank you.
Michelle, if I can just weigh in just real quickly. One of the things that I do, in addition to leaving a financial tip, is I'll write a Yelp, comment, and something like, "Gee, Michelle's service was fabulous today. Really made the difference," or post it in, whatever the app may be. And many times people find that that's much more meaningful than $6 more, because it does celebrate them in some way. So just want to point that out.
Thank you, Dr. Mantell.
And one last thing, Michelle. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one of the things I think it's important for people to understand too, if you're trying to actually tip that waiter or waitress, I found that it's very important that you actually hand them the money versus leaving it on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Because they may not see that. They may not even receive that money that you put on the table that was intended for them. So that's something to take in consideration too.
Thank you.
That's a good point, because many times I have thought about that, Dr. T. Is the waitress actually going to get this money?
Yes.
And a lot of times what they do is take the tip and they split it up between everybody else, right? And that everybody else didn't do that job. That waitress did that job. So I'm gonna take that in consideration and then start handling.
May I add to this conversation? There's a question here: does the feeling of obligation override human bad service? And it really made me stop and think, how do I feel about that? That's a really good question. So I really feel pleased when someone provides quality service to be able to tip them in some way. However, I also don't have a problem if someone is rude or has a bad attitude saying, "I don't feel I can tip you this much because I don't feel that your service was the standard it would need to be for what you're doing." What I think that I believe is that whatever we do in life, whatever level we're on, is to do the very best we can. And I think that the idea of supporting people, complimenting people for the good they do, no matter if they're a janitorial person, a street sweeper, whatever level a person may be, or the highest levels, let people know what we appreciate about them, how it makes us feel in a good way. Because then what happens is it creates a sense of feeling that what we are doing at the time in our lives, a sense of being worthwhile. And I think that if we want to get the economy going, we really need to start with that. The perception that what I do doesn't matter, that I'm not relevant. And so I think the issue of tipping is a very broad one.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to topic number 3. In Spain, kissing is a widely accepted custom. Friends and family do it, whether woman to woman, woman to man, or man to man. It can be lips to cheek or a little kissing sound. There are numerous variants, and even strangers greet each other this way. But not all kisses are welcome, especially if considered by the recipient as impulse-driven, sexist, out-of-place act without any consent. That's what Spanish Soccer Federation President Luis Rubiales is learning after putting both of his hands on the head of star player Jennifer Hermoso and planting a direct kiss right on her lips. Question: Mr. Rubiales has been suspended over his actions. Do you believe this incident is being blown out of proportion? Let's start with you, Dr. Spain.
So
You start with Dr. Spain because we talked about Spain.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say adios míos, because when I saw the topic and I said Spain and kissing, I said, oh man, did somebody try to frame me? You know, but as some of you may know, I actually grew up overseas. I grew up in Europe, in Italy, and so Italian cultures with kissing on both cheeks is very similar. But one of the things that when I looked at this and I saw and I read the story, I had to take in consideration that you have to respect people's boundaries. I don't know if she was caught off guard, which it looks like she was, maybe, of him kissing her. You can't condone this because you may have people feel uncomfortable and you don't know what that person has been through in their previous lives. So I think they took the right step in doing this, and it's not overreacting. It's just making sure that a person of that stature, should have known better.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Spain. So let's go with Laurie. Laurie, so there are other members of the squad that shows that Rubiales kissed him on the cheeks as well as holding him in his arms. Does this make a difference, or is some of the media trying to downplay Jennifer Hermoso's reaction? Basically, he kissed the other players, but she was the one, what they're saying, who was offended. Does that even make a difference how the other players felt? It's about how that person feels. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, in really thinking this through, I looked at it both as a woman and also as an employer, and also as an elected person on a local hospital board. All the sexual harassment training I have to take, the considerations I need to make because I have roles that are responsible. And the whole question I would ask is, her name was again Jennifer. Jennifer succeeded. The question is, was the behavior of Luis in any way based on, I will help you succeed for sexual benefits that you may provide me, I will help you win today? So if the answer to that is no, I find the uproar probably over the top. Secondly, a kiss does not equal sexual exploitation, nor does it always communicate, I would like sexual favors for having been kissed. I agree with Spain. Spain and Italy and various cultures like that are much more demonstrative than maybe we are in the US. And the part of me really kind of likes the fact that people are able to be that way and be more expressive. So my whole thinking is people are innocent until proven guilty. A public apology, I think, would have been enough. Was this, in fact, any kind of relationship with sexual favors or the ultimate outcome of receiving an award in this type of recognition, which I don't believe I've seen in any of my research on this issue? Therefore, I am not sure that a mere kiss out of, oh, wow, we won, I love you because, you know, you did great for the team kind of thing, denotes sexual abuse. And that's what I think needs to happen. So before someone loses a job, before someone has so much publicity to the negative, this is going to tag this person for the rest of his life. It's also going to tag the young woman. It's going to follow them both wherever they go. And then the other players saying, well, because of this, I don't want to play. You need to fire this person because. Wonder if the president of this had been a woman, not a man. Would that have been perceived in any way as sexual misconduct? So what I'm getting to is that there are certain guidelines and parameters for employment, for leadership, what we should and should not do, which have legal overtones. In this particular instance, I am not 100% clear that that's what we have here.
Thank you, Laurie. We're going to take a quick commercial break. James?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but I want to go back. Deanna had mentioned something right before we exit that topic. She said, I don't know if this is true, but I had a waiter tell me one time that if you leave a tip on your card, they would get it taxed compared to actually receiving the cash. Or what you guys think about that real quick?
We
Terry,
we
we'll take it. We could take.
we got to take a break. We got to take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to think about that one because I want to answer her question when we get back. Tell you what, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments. We'll get you on. We'll get it on there. We might be a little late sometime, but we'll get it on. Remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. And wow, this is such a great show, a great topics that Dr. Cooley came up with. And she is accepted and moderated, as everybody already understand that. And, it's just, I'm just happy that she let me be a part of Hot Topics. Hey, I want to respond real quickly to Tiana's question. And then I want to get back to this topic because, Tiana, I believe that that's true. I have heard that many, many times that if you put it on the tip, that it is taxed. But I don't know how true it is. But I have heard that, and I want to respond to what you had asked because it's important that our viewers and our listeners and everybody get an understanding. Real quickly, do anybody is that true that one of you all know?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what I think, Tiana. I'm gonna turn it back over to Michelle.
Thank you, James. So getting back to the topic regarding the soccer president, Dr. Mantell, this question is for you. People's personal space. And I think Laurie mentioned something about, and even Dr. Terry, about you never know what a person has been through. And I know different cultures, different countries are different, but why before anyone does or say anything that they should think about invading somebody's personal space? And how would they be aware of something like that?
Well, we all operate on the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The trouble is it doesn't often work because I may not mind being kissed, but the other person may mind. So I operate on the platinum rule. The platinum rule says treat others the way they want to be treated. So if my style is to give a hug, I might say to somebody, can I give you a hug? And if they're not comfortable, they'll tell me. I don't want anyone to feel that discomfort in not being honest with me. So, but I think that if you have doubt, don't. That's another key guideline. And here, we can't just say, "Oh, stop! It's just a kiss," because we don't know what how the other person sees it. And so, better to be cautious, safe on this side of things than to say, "Well, it's the style; everyone does it. It's not a big deal." Because to that person, it could be an enormous deal. It could be triggering all kinds of traumatic memories and issues that we're just not aware of. So that space is a psychological safety zone for people. And it makes sense to respect it and ask if you're unsure. And if you say to somebody, yeah, I'd love to give you a hug, is that okay? And they go, yeah. No, it's not. They're just they don't know how to say no.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Mantell. Laurie, you mentioned sexual harassment training, and everybody who's basically employed or the employer has to go through with that. So I'm just going to go around everybody, just a quick just comments.
Mhm.
Let's start with you, Laurie. What what positive information or feedback that you received as an employer regarding sexual harassment training with your employees?
That's a very good question. It's really dimensional. The platinum rule that was mentioned here, I think, is a very, very good analogy. And I would say the exceeds the gold standard, which I feel basically anyone in a leadership role really cannot, by law, have any influence over a subordinate. And it's not something that's legally, in my understanding, I'm not an attorney, appropriate. The feeling that I have, though, about the incident perhaps is that the moment was such an exciting, compelling, we have a win, could have been a momentary lapse of emotional control that was not really meant as inappropriate because of the situation. Different than having an employee in a controlled environment where you know the rules of engagement pretty much from the start and how conduct must be occurred. So I think the idea, the analogy of a platinum rule is exceptional and would be something I think all of us would hopefully aspire to. On the other hand, in this case, if I won something on an international basis or I had a team which did, I might be out of my mind with joy and jubilance and happiness. So the question is, what was the intent of that kiss? Is an apology needed? Is there an official reprimand needed? How far do we need to go to correct this problem?
Thank you, Laurie. Dr. Terry, what are your thoughts on the sexual harassment training that you received in your area, your profession?
So ironically enough, I teach sexual harassment training. So, and being while I was in the military, that's one of the things that I had the ability to do. So, but I used to tell people all the time, it's like, would you want someone to do that to your child or to your spouse? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. And so I let people know, and I would constantly tell folks that it's very important to make sure that people feel comfortable at work, and no one wants to have to feel like they have to walk on eggshells around you because you a grabber, or you a toucher, or you a kisser. So the platinum rule, perfect, and I want to thank the good doctor for mentioning that, because I think if we use that rule, and I think well, I'm a firm believer that we can definitely exceed and excel in the workplace.
Thank you, Dr. Spain. We got less than 2 minutes. Dr. Mantell, your thoughts on sexual harassment training. Then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. James.
Real quickly, I also teach sexual harassment to organizations and have for many, many years. It's changed. That platinum rule is the key concept. I appreciate the fact that you all recognize that. So I think that the sexual harassment issue has become a something that we run from it because we're so afraid of the lawsuits and the bad reputations and all these things that can come from this. And that's why I think it's more of a organizational protection, a human protection, a human sensitivity. If in doubt, don't. And if you don't doubt, ask. That you know the boundaries. And if you don't know the boundaries, that's what sexual harassment training teaches. I'll turn it back to Dr. James.
Wow. I believe that the platinum rule is the gold standard, just like what Laurie said, and we all have to be cognizant of that as leaders. And just like Laurie mentioned earlier, we don't know what a person might be feeling, but in customs that you mentioned in Spain, customarily, as we talked about in this one, it's a difference in how people feel, and I think everybody should have a fair chance. You know what? I tell you, we're out of time. But I want to thank each and every last one of you for taking time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's your like hot topics. I would love to have this panel back next month if you guys have time. I kind of like to keep it consistent, So I want to thank each one of you so much for taking time to come on the show. I want to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. But most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for always tuning in to James Cooley Show. It's your life. Remember always to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Is your life.